Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Keith with Dads for Life, and we are here for another Straight Talk for Parents. It's Monday evening. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are here right when we try to be every week and have some great guests on here talking to parents about parent stuff, right? Well, tonight we have a special guest. No, it's not deja vu. We're not going to do the same show again. This is Miss Debby Mongtomery and Debby Mongtomery Johnson, and she is the author behind the woman behind the smile.com. Actually, is her website too, but that's her book, The Woman Behind the Smile. So we're going to get into actually talking about how to keep children safe on the internet tonight, and she's got a great little stand-up rule thing she's going to get into. But right now, I want to go down to Australia before I formally introduce our guest tonight with my co-host, Miss Lovely Ariel Wheeler. Welcome, Ariel, again.
Hey Keith, thank you for the welcome. I'm so excited to be here today. We have the amazing Debby for a part 2. I'm so excited to get started. So just a little bit about me. I'm Ariel Wheeler, the founder of iHer Brand. I help creative entrepreneurs become highly visible to get their soul clients, their next soul clients that are ready to do the work and fully commit to their transformation. Keith and I are so excited that every week that we're able to bring the Straight Talk with parents to you guys. So thank you to all of our viewers, all of our Periscope, Facebook, and even our replay viewers. Thank you for being here because this is for you guys.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Ariel. Well, we're going to get right into the content tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We have Miss Debby Mongtomery Johnson. She's a woman on a mission, and I know her personally, and Glenda and I do, and she is just an awesome lady in person as well as online, and now she's just got back from Canada and reaching and teaching women about just how to be safe online. But this Woman Behind the Smile book that she shares is her personal experience with a love that turned into betrayal and financial disaster. And she removes that mask of shame and shows others how to do the same today. She has, her background is quite diverse, actually. She's worked as a paralegal and a bank branch manager. She's also been a U.S. Air Force officer, those that when I was served in the Air Force, used to salute. And serving as an intelligence officer at the Pentagon, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and in Germany. So, Debby, you are so awesome. I mean, what you've been through, just like everyone else that has stories, right? We turn them into triumphs, really, to where we can help other people. And we really appreciate you coming back for part 2, because tonight, Debby, as you well know, I'm going to welcome you, and then I want to give you some statistics of what we have found out about kids online. Welcome back to Straight Talk for Parents, part 2.
Thank you so much, Keith and Ariel. I'm so excited to be back. This is a really subject that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm really glad that we're addressing it tonight. So let's have fun.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about how to keep our kids safe online. Now, I was working in the school system when the internet all started coming around, and I was getting all these crazy stories from kids of these new friends all over the world they were meeting, and even right out of the chute, it seemed like I wasn't very comfortable with some of the stories they were telling me. But then I find out through different things that, first of all, 99% of teens today, ladies and gentlemen, are using the internet. Okay. Now, 84% rise in formal complaints, even in the 2-year period in 04 and 05 here in the United States. 84% that predators were out there reaching towards them and trying to bring them into their lifestyle. So, it's really scary out there, parents, and we have to understand that we have to be online protecting our kids. Now, we know it's kind of something they're doing, but tonight I wanted to talk to Debby directly about something that she's created called the Stand-Up Rules for Safety Online with Your Kids. But I'm finding out that 1 in 5 children receive some kind of inappropriate solicitation daily in our country, Debby. So we welcome you back, and any insights you want to give us tonight, we appreciate that, because our kids need to know that we as parents are going to try to keep them as safe as possible. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate being here because in my story, I haven't had my children affected so much, except when my husband passed away suddenly. the only thing that went to my mind is, how do I get to my 16-year-old, my 15-year-old before the rest of the world does? Because Matt, the kids aren't supposed to have phones at school, but we know they do. We know parents want to get a hold of them, but I didn't want Maddie to find out about his dad dying through Facebook or Instagram or something like that. That was my biggest fear, and that's why I went right over to the school to get to him. But as this whole story has unfolded in the last few years, I do have grandchildren now, and I love seeing their pictures online. But I started worrying about who's watching our kids and how could they get them if they wanted to. And I realized that our 10-year-olds are walking to school with a cell phone in their pocket. And our 15-year-olds have cell phones in their pocketbooks, their purses, and they're putting all day long where they are, what they're doing, who they're with. Their pictures are everywhere. And we're thinking, no, isn't it fun? We know where they are. But now that I've been through I don't want to say the victim side, but I was. Now that I know that the predators are out there and they're watching us in such an insidious way, that we need to be careful. We need to stand up for our children, and we need to be the parent and say, let's be careful about what we're doing out there. Because I don't want anybody's child to be hurt or taken because somebody found out where they were because of their telephone. That's my platform now, and it brings it close to home because I live in a really nice neighborhood here, and what I considered very safe. But the last couple of weeks, we've had police out between me and the school, and there have been some threats to children being picked up by predators just as they're walking home from school. And that's a scary thing. It's not like when we were kids and we could ride 3 miles home. I'm within a mile from the school, and there were problems. So.
Well, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Ariel in a few minutes about it being the way it is in Australia, because I remember growing up and we hardly ever even locked our doors, so it was like, I could go out and play, and then of course when it was dark, it was my time to come in and eat, but even if I stayed out past dark after I ate and I went back outside with my friends, it was a safe neighborhood. But it seems like today it's even more scary because, we can turn on the news locally around Florida here, North Florida, and we can hear stories like this all the time, So I want to just try to get right into the stand-up, 7 steps to stand up for online safety for kids, and let us kind of touch on those a little bit throughout the evening. And parents, I do want to tell you that if you have a question, you can reach out to us. If you're watching us live on Periscope or via the web, please send us a note there at Periscope. We'll try to get your question, or if you come in joining us on the Zoom line, we'll be glad to take you live. So we just want to make sure that you understand that we are here to help protect our kids tonight through the online safety. There are countless situations throughout our country, and I'm sure in Australia as well as around the world, of the seriousness of this thing that's going on with the internet and trying to harm our kids. So, all right, Debbie, so take it away. The 7 steps to stand up online safety for kids.
Well, stand up is my platform about, in my case, the S meant seek the authorities, but I want to do some preventative things for the children. The first one for S is set up rules. That's with everything, but particularly with their telephones and with their internet. I'm gearing this more towards the younger children because as our kids get a little bit older, they want their independence. But beware, it's the 15, 16, 17-year-old girls that I'm worried about when they're so free with putting their pictures and their information out there. I worry about our young women. But I want the kids to talk to your parents about setting up rules that you'll agree to. Sit down together. This isn't mom and dad saying you shall not. Come up with it together and be reasonable about it, and decide when you can get on, for how long, and with whom you're going to be getting on with. Those are the basics, and I think that's fair to parents and children to be able to get together and discuss those things.
All right, so let's set up rules. I recently heard about something. Glenn and I were listening to a story over here in the U.S. I'm not sure it's reached Australia yet, Ariel, but it's a great idea where parents and their kids, let's say the kids go to a party or something, and then all of a sudden things don't seem right according to the family rules. And then what they'll do is they'll send an X to their mom or dad and that means immediately mom and dad has a reason for them to come home. And, it's a great idea, I think, because there are kids that are being brought up properly, and they get into a situation with their peers, and it gets really uncomfortable for them, and they don't know what to do. They don't want to be sucked into the drug scene or whatever, because I know there's kids out there personally that don't want to be around that situation. So now this new thing going over here is doing the X factor, basically, is they send mom or dad an X, and that means they'll come and get them for a reason. So I believe in the rules, and I think that's a good rule. So set up rules. So the T, tell us about the T.
T is tell your parents right away if you feel uncomfortable about anyone or anything that is being said or posted. A lot of times kids will feel embarrassed, or they won't want to tell because they feel like it's going to get them in trouble. We need to be able to tell. Just as adults, we need to be able to stand up and tell when something has bothered us, or we've been vulnerable or hurt or whatever. Hiding it is not going to help you. And parents, just take a breath when the kids say something. Don't go overboard. Realize that they're coming to you. They want you to be their safety net. So be willing to open up and just listen. Don't rush to judgment. The kid might have gotten onto a website or something in error. You don't want to make them feel like it's their fault, because then they won't come to you. So encourage them to talk to you, to tell you what's going on.
So the S, set up rules, and the T is to tell the parents, which kind of fits into that X thing if they're off camp or off away from home. So let's talk about the A. It addresses things.
And this is address things, but also your addresses. Be careful that your address and your personal information is not given out to anyone without your parents' permission. I had an experience once where my youngest son had gotten into something he shouldn't have, and I started getting phone calls middle of the night, a little threatening, and that scared me, because it's so easy for someone to have your phone number and then to find out where you live. And I really don't want someone that is not worthy of being a friend to know where I live, because now it's threatened my safety, and we don't want to threaten our kids' safety or our own by putting that information out there. One other thing about the location: be careful if your kids have phones that they can turn off the locator. See if you can, bypass that, because you want to be able to know where their phone is. If for some reason they've gone someplace and they're not where they told you they were going to be, you want to be able to ping their phone. And on several occasions, I haven't been able to find my phone or my child's phone. And that's a little frightening, especially if you get one of those X's. They've got to have that locator available on their phone for you.
Okay. So the address is very important, and privacy is just out the window anymore. You can find anybody you want to, really, if you do enough investigations, right? But the thing is that you do what you can to protect them. So the N, in stand, we talked about set up rules, tell your parents, addresses. The N stands for no one.
No one gets your passwords, not even your best friends, because they will hack into your Facebook and your other online things, and they'll start posting as if they were you. And I've seen some pretty nasty things that get posted out there, and the kids come back and say, hey, that wasn't me doing it. Well, if you gave your password, or if your friends watch you when you're typing in your password, then you're open to whatever they want to say about you or for you or from you. So just be careful that passwords, and that's for parents too. Protect your passwords and put something unique in for a password, because someone's going to find those birth dates or addresses or whatever, those generic passwords. They're going to get into you and hack you.
And they do, and I hear more and more stories about that. And my wife and I, we've been victims of that kind of stuff, and it's just I just hope I never find them. It seems like, because it really gets to you personally, So, but don't put your dog's names. I got somebody on Periscope. Not put your dog's name or even your name, So I don't know. It's just because the more they find out, and you get these requests all the time on Facebook, and you're already friends with somebody. Like I would get a request from Ariel, and I'm friends with Ariel, but yet I know that somebody's trying to hack her account or has hacked her account. So you got to be really careful with that. So it goes down to knowing who your real friends are, right? So the D, discuss.
You don't need 1,000 friends. We really don't need a lot of people anymore.
I only need 6, really good ones, strong ones, one day. So. All right, so let's go down to D, discuss downloading anything.
really important. And I heard about this in a business meeting the other day about parents, be careful what you're downloading on your computers. Kids, be careful what you're downloading, because if you think you're downloading this wonderful game, and somehow that game has a virus and your family is on a network, you've just infected your network. Yeah. Not just your phone, not just your little personal iPad, you've infected everybody. So before you download a movie, a game, anything, discuss it with your folks. Again, this goes for teenagers especially. I know my guys are putting music on our network, and those things get hacked all the time. So just be careful. And kids, those games look fun, but there could be some problems. So just discuss, again, set up the rules, family, set up who's going to be allowed to download what, and maybe the parents need to be looking at it before it gets downloaded.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It came across Periscope from one of our, oh, goodness, sorry, my microphone. One of our dear listeners, Pastor Marcella in Mississippi, says it feels like you've been really evaded, you know, when you've been victimized like that. You know, it's just so evasive. It's like somebody breaks into your house, or, you know, and it's just really uncomfortable. So, all right, let's go into the up, and then we'll go down to Australia, see my dear friend Ariel. So the U, so we stand up, we set up rules, we tell your parents, we don't put our addresses out there, no one gets your personal passwords, discuss downloading with your parents. The U, now we're going to stand up, and the U is uncomfortable.
If you're uncomfortable with pictures that you're seeing, if you're uncomfortable with words that you're seeing, if you're uncomfortable with what you may be saying, be really careful, because bullying will get you in trouble. A few years ago, my youngest is 22 now, but when he was 15, down here in South Florida anyway, the bullying thing was huge, and everybody was very careful about saying the right things, doing the right things. But bullying has really hurt children and adults alike, because words, you can't take the words back. And when you put something online, it's going to be online forever. You can't hide it. And you can't take it back. So those nasty things that you're saying about that little girl that you know, a friend of yours, you might say that she looks terrible. I saw a really great post today on Facebook. It was a teacher that actually was beside one of her little students, and she had put her hair up just like the little girl did, because the little girl had been teased about how bad her hair looked. Well, that was bullying for her. So her teacher put her hair up the exact same way and say, "You are beautiful. Your hair is beautiful."
I like that.
So just
I like that.
Yeah, just because I don't want to wear my hair like Ariel, it's not long enough. Her hair is beautiful, and mine is short. It's beautiful. So be careful about what you see. Don't engage in it. Don't encourage mean talk. Be kind. Just be kind to your friends. So you know, don't be uncomfortable with.
You know, Debbie, though, I do a lot of encouraging with parents in my sessions, and I can tell you that sometimes the parents need to know that first, you know, and then because your kids, I mean, our byline is that they do follow your lead, you know, dads for life, because they follow your lead, and they do follow it. And if you're saying one thing, you're doing another, they notice that. Let's go to P, and then we're going to go to Australia. P for privacy.
Privacy is a must when it comes to your personal protection. Like I said, don't put your location or your personal pictures out there that are really personal. I remember years ago, my oldest son and his buddies, they're great kids, fun guys, and they'd be out doing something cool, and it's going to embarrass one of my kids, but they were out in the snow, and they were making body parts out of snow. Well, ha, 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 you know, it looked ridiculous, and I'm thinking, you know, someday your employers are going to see these pictures, and they're not something that they were just having fun, but some of the bad stuff, kids are, you know, really exposing their bodies and putting it out there online. That is not something you want anybody else to see. It's not something that you want a predator to see. You do not want an employer to see it. So be careful that you never know who's watching or who's looking at those pictures. It is not pretty to see a 15-year-old with half her clothes off. It's not pretty, and that is scary for me. It's scary for our young women to expose themselves like that. And parents, that's when you want to kind of jump in, because you are the parent. You're not the friend here. You're the protector. Protect those kids. Protect your kids.
Yeah. And I had a parent one time, we were talking about the phones, you know, and saying, "Oh, that's our private phone." I said, "Do you pay that bill?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, then whose phone is it?" So you can set some rules for it, right? So we've been talking to Debbie Mongtomery Johnson. I'm sorry, go ahead. What did you say, Debbie?
No, that was the very first thing we talked about was set up the rules.
Right.
If the kids
Right.
know, I mean, I remember one time I did look at texts on my kids, and I shouldn't have done it. I lost their trust. But it's something you have to agree upon.
Absolutely.
When you give them that phone. If they can't put the right thing on the phone, don't let them have the phone.
Well, we've been talking to Debbie Montgomery Johnson, who is the author of The Woman Behind the Smile. This is part 2 of our story with Debbie, who actually talked about her book last time, and we're going to go down to Australia and see what Miss Ariel has for Miss Debbie tonight, but then also highlight her book once again, Ariel. So welcome to my co-host, my dear friend, Ariel Wheeler.
Hey everyone, thank you so much. We have covered so much in the last 20 minutes discussing about the 7 steps to stand up. And there's some really great points here about, especially for new parents as well, because my daughter is not 15, she's not 20, she is still getting to the age of 3. So a lot of those things are good to keep in mind for later on. However, I'm just not there yet, but for most parents, we do see that when there's a newborn in the family, there's lots of photos going around, and I do like to let people know that just to be careful, because, child predators can come in any shape or form, and, sharing your baby photos in the bath, things like that. Just be careful when you do sharing them. You can share them as much as you want, but definitely on Facebook, there is a setting that you can set to turn off from public to just sharing with your friends or even just with your family, and you can also do that on Facebook with family albums as well. So we all like to see baby photos, so if you've got baby photos, definitely go share them. We love to see their cracking smiles and their cookie laugh. We love to see all their cooing, so definitely go and share. So I know that lots of parents out there do have rules, and I really like to highlight to have a safe word, like Keith was talking about having an X. Definitely have a safe word that you can use on your phone. It could be any type of word. It could be like flamingo, for goodness sake. But as long as we know what that safe word is, so that we can actually protect our children. So if there's ever a situation where they're getting bullied or there's a stranger that's talking to them on the street, they can quickly text that flamingo word or the word X, for example, and mum and dad can be there on the phone to give them a call, or at least have someone in that vicinity that is close by that they can get a hold of and say, hey, something's happening. Can you please be there for my child if you can't be there? Because I know that as a working parent, sometimes you can't always be there with your children. So it's always important to have someone that you know, that you trust, that's going to be there with your children. Because we know at the end of the day, we cannot control circumstances, and we can definitely not control human beings. And most of all, we cannot control our children. So that's something that I would like to highlight for you guys, just as an important topic. So I'm just going to bring it back to Debbie. Is there anything that you really like to highlight with that? Is there anything that really stands out for you?
As far as the online safety, just take control. I'm a parent of 4, and I know I've been through. Do I say something? Do I not? Do I get in their face on this one? I mean, in a gentle way. Do I set the rules? Yeah, I think we have a tendency. I know as the kids get older, we want to be their friends rather than their parents, and at some point that's good. Mine are now 22 to 30. It's great to be their friend. The teenage years, I think we need to be the parent. And I think we need to have the rules with respect. We want them to respect us. We want to be able to respect them. And with that comes the trust. You've got to build trust. And I've told my kids, I said, if we lose trust in any way, and I've lost their trust in the past, it's very much harder to build that trust back than to, kept it in initially. Losing someone's trust it's hard to get it back. And so, do what you can to be safe and to work together to make this a good thing. Because I understand single parents, working parents want their kids to have a phone so they can get a hold of them. That's a good thing. The bad thing is that those kids might be putting too much information out about where they are and what they're doing. And that takes their protection away. And I guess that's what I want to say. It's just be reasonable. Be reasonable in what you're doing in your expectations, but just be careful. Heaven forbid someone's child is taken because somebody's watching them or has been watching them and is able to pick them up off the street. That's my worry.
Yeah, it's also borderline of, them also being responsible as well. Like, not to live in fear, but also just to stress upon the fact that just to be careful of what they are posting and what they are sharing online and doing every day, because sometimes things can get out of context. So it's always good to bring back that responsibility of not only just being a parent, being a friend, at the same time being a mum and dad, but also give them the allowance of self-expression, but with responsibility. And what I mean by responsibility is, if they're texting all day long and you go, hey, my phone bill is like $500 from texting and calling everybody, then that's when you would have to jump on the line of being responsible. So, okay, if you want to spend this X amount on your phone, then you need to go get a job or create some type of cash flow just to help them know that they have to be responsible for their actions. So I'm just going to bring it over to your book, and I'm going to share it because there's some things in there that I know that our viewers today would actually like to have a look at, and we can explain. Just one moment. I'm just going to bring up the share screen. For some reason it's not coming up. One moment, guys. I'll just bring it back to Keith just for a sec. So I'm just having some technical issues. Just one moment.
Okay, Ariel, I appreciate that. I'm watching Periscope here. We've got some interaction there. I'm trying to see if anybody has any questions, Debbie. So regarding your book, is she getting ready to bring it up? Why don't you just kind of highlight your story for us real quick? And so I want folks that didn't hear you 2 weeks ago, I want them to know a little bit about your story and your book and why they should buy it.
Okay. Well, my story started a long time ago, but really this part of the story, the online part of it, started after my husband passed away 7 years ago. And I was at home alone. I was working at home, and I had a lot of time, and I didn't want to get out there. I didn't want to put myself out there. And my friend said, you need to date. Well, I'd said this in the past. I didn't like dating when I was 16, and I really didn't want to start dating at 52. And so they said, well, this is safe because you can do it from home. So we're talking about safety tonight. Be careful. Because what I found in my online dating experience that went on for 2 years is that I got lots of pictures. I got lots of addresses, lots of pictures of homes and stuff. And I was an Air Force intelligence officer. I looked at these pictures on Google Earth. I would look at the home pictures, and I would look at the addresses, and I would say, could that really be his house? Could this all fit in? I did a lot of research on the times when I was having a little bit of doubt as to who Eric was. I mean, his picture was handsome. He was a handsome man. He had a sister and a little son, and I was so engaged because they brought me into their family. I became part of their family. Those online pictures I got were so real. And so this went on for a couple of years, and the hardest part, I don't know how much of the story to tell, but the 2 years of this great romance and family life was from afar. It was only online because he was from London, but he was working overseas, and he never came to the United States. Something happened. It kept happening, and I should have known that. And someone said, could you pull out the red flags or the yellow flags? And I said, at that point, my heart ruled my head. And I think that happens to kids too. We want something to work. We want someone to be our friend. We want someone to love us. And that happened. And I felt like Eric was my love, that he was my life. And so I trusted him. And that's where I didn't have anybody here to set the rules for me because I was the parent. And when my kids said, Mom, be careful, I'm like, hey, I'm the adult, leave me alone. So I needed a parent at that point too. And when it turned out to be a scam, when he actually confessed to me that it was a scam, and the reason this was important is because I had put money into this game, a lot of money. And our kids hopefully will not be doing that. But because I trusted what I saw, I trusted the pictures, I trusted the words, I was taken. And that hurt me badly. I became a victim to an internet scammer. And when I was told by the FBI later on that there was nothing they could do, that's when I shut down. And I put up that smile, I put up the I'm fine, when inside I was dying. And I don't think our kids would be able to do that. I don't think they would be able to get over it. It took me a long time. It took me years to be able to speak up. And it's a hard story. It's gotten much easier for me because now my mission is I don't want anybody else to get scammed. I don't want anybody to get hurt like I did. And if I can help one woman, one man, one child not get hurt because of these guys, and they are so good. I mean, I'm pretty well educated, but these guys just wrapped the internet around my brain and my heart and took me down.
Yes, Debbie, in your book, I'm telling you, when you start reading your book, it just really grabs you and you kind of go into it. So you've told it well. You've shared how we can stay away from some of that. But I'd like Ariel to just share that real quick before we run out of time here tonight. And see, if you don't have this book, ladies and gentlemen, this is worth reading. And if it doesn't fit you, that's fine. But you can help somebody who might be going through this, a friend, a family member, or a child, actually, an adult child. So, Ariel, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to share the screen now. So let me know when you can see the screen.
We have it.
I got it.
Absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, Debbie, you're actually, talking about the woman behind the smile, and as human beings, we do like to shut down in a way that we can fake it, meaning that if we're happy, we can put on a smile and think everything's happy, but really inside we feel absolutely betrayed and scared, and that our trust has been broken. And I just like to highlight here that sometimes with our children, they can do that as well. Like, kids are so good at making up stories, putting an image in their head, being so creative with it that sometimes we just don't know actually what's going on inside their head. And I reckon this is a great book. I know that it may be not, for adults, but however, I think it would be just great to share this with our children as well, just about the actual story of, how it happened, why it happened, and how Debbie actually felt. And I would really like to highlight here that this is a great book to share with your children who are around 15 or 16, when you read books to them as well, but just actually to introduce them to this story, because Debbie has a great mission here. And horrible as the story was, this is a great lesson for our children. And Debbie, I would like you to just explain a little bit about that book and how you think it might be great for, a 16 or an 18-year-old child to actually get this book in their hands.
Well, I think it's important because we see online pictures. We see pictures of handsome guys and beautiful girls, and we think, oh, wouldn't that be fun to be their friend? Well, what I learned is that the picture that I had of my Eric and of his son Kenny and Mary, they were not the actual person. So those pictures that we are putting up on Facebook of ourselves, people can actually go in and copy them and use them for whatever they want to do. And I think Keith and I were talking about that earlier, about another story where a young woman's pictures were actually put out there and it was used for some bad things. So be careful that, what you see may not be what you're getting. And
exactly.
Just because someone's your friend on Yahoo Chat does not mean that they're that 15-year-old young man from Australia that looks really handsome. It could be that 32-year-old man from Nigeria that is trying to scam you. So just be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is just a great book because you can actually get it on Kindle and you can get it in paperback. And I really like the story here about what it is exactly, but also Debbie has, triumphs over this. So she's a great teacher on how to keep not only our children safe, but us as women as well, to keep safe as well and be careful about what we're doing online and who we're talking to and how we're putting ourselves out there, but also for men as well. And I'm sure that it happens as men as well, because sometimes we may put photos of ourselves out there that may be scrutinized or whatever that may happen. But however, we can overcome anything as human beings, and that's really important to allow our children to actually see that as well. So thank you, Debbie, so much for sharing your amazing book with us. I'm just going to bring it back to Keith because I know that we've only got about less than 5 minutes left, and I thought maybe we might have some Periscope viewers who may have some questions about the book here.
Well, thank you, Ariel. No, we're not getting any questions tonight. We're getting a lot of viewers, though, and a lot of hearts. A lot of people are pumping the hearts, I think. So, they I guess they just appreciate the content and what you're sharing, Debbie, and hopefully that they know that they can help somebody with your book, or, you'd be surprised at the number of people. I mean, I was telling you, Debbie, earlier of this show. It's an investigative show called Web of Lies, and it's very popular. It's been on for several years, and how people get hook-winked or catfished into situations like this. They don't believe that's going to be true. My wife and I actually counseled with someone who was hook-winked over a financial transaction on the internet, and because they knew we tried to help people like that, but yet they thought they were going to get this motorcycle they just bought for $7,500, but there was no motorcycle for $7,500 because it was in Africa. So, I mean, you know, it's just one of those situations. But you have to be very careful, ladies and gentlemen. We have been talking to Debbie Montgomery Johnson, who is an author and a speaker, just returned back from Canada, right, Debbie?
I was up in Toronto with a wonderful group of women, and we're going international. It's important. Australia, there have been many, many shows in Australia about this catfishing, about online dating, and I know that, you know, it's everywhere. So just be careful.
Yeah. So, but ladies and gentlemen, please get that book, The Woman Behind the Smile. And we do appreciate each and every one of you for coming into Straight Talk for Parents. We're here every Monday night. We're coming down to the last minute here. Just want to tell you to reach out to our Facebook page, Straight Talk for Parents, and you can send us a question and we try to answer. We're not, you know, we're not perfect in everything we're doing and trying to do, but I'll tell you what, we're getting a lot of response in what we're trying to do to help parents, and because, you know, it does take a village to raise a child. It really does. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. Debbie, we appreciate you. Part 2 is in the books, and we will maybe have you back in the future. I mean, my new radio show, the Dad Connection radio show, you'll be a guest soon, but that has already just taken off, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be tomorrow night on 108praiseradio.com. at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can get the Dad Connection. So, Debbie, one day in the future, you will be a guest there as well. So,
thank you, Keith. Thanks, Ariel.
Yeah, we thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time, this is Dr. Keith from Dads for Life and Ariel Wheeler from Her Brand. Been here with you. My administrator, Ms. Glenda, has been helping out, and Debbie Montgomery Johnson, the author of The Woman Behind the Smile. Until next time, we will see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah.